Hey everybody, happy Monday and happy New Year. And it's very exciting that we have a new season started today. A new weekly climb starts today. A new year started today. I'm excited for all the fun stuff that's going to happen in Hearthstone in 2024. I hope you are too. And let's just get into this week, okay? Budget decks below 5,000 dust, win rates of above 50%, and it's bronze through gold. So, okay, win rates are here. It's not a full indicator of this is how it's going to be. It's just a small sample size of, which the win rates are blowing, if you will. Druid is up there, Paladin's up there, Warrior's up there. It's all understandable. Rogue is trying to do something. You see it right there. It's at 50%. It's trying to move up a little bit, but Rogue is very powerful right now on high legend or top legend, whatever you call it. Listen, Mage, Death Knight, and Demon Hunter are not doing that great. Demon Hunter looks terrible, but remember, like I said, this is a small sampling. There is a deck that you can play in Mage, Priest, Death Knight, and Demon Hunter that are above 50%, below 5,000 dust. So don't listen to this. Let's start going through some of the meta changes. Right now, I picked last 7 days, bronze through gold in all regions, and Treant Druid is very high, 71.03%. We're going to talk about Treant Druid because I went through and I looked at all the classes and I looked at all the Treant Druid decks. There's like 15 different decks above 65% win rate that are all below 2,000 or 2,200 dust, so it's a great option. Earthen Paladin is moving up. I joked about this many times now that Earthen Paladin was just a joke and it wasn't going to be played or what. It's being played, and games are being won with it. So I got my Heine handed to me a couple of days ago with an Earthen Paladin. Just before I knew it, he just had so much on the board that there was just no shot. Highlander Hunter is a good deck. Dragon Druid, good deck. Secret Mage, Mech Rogue. There's a lot of options that you can be playing right now. To go over by class, too, this is what I wanted to say. I didn't change any of these same statistics. Aggro Demon Hunters, 55% win rate. So there is a Demon Hunter that you can be playing. Priest has a whole bunch of options. Shaman has a whole bunch of options. Mage has a bunch of options. Warrior has a bunch of... There is something that you can play in every class that's above 50% win rate. You're not going to be like, oh, I have to play this or I have to play nothing. And then looking at the popularity, I don't want to go too deep in depth of this, but, it was just interesting to see. If you can, and if you have HS Replay Premium, you should definitely be buying Premium. 100%. I am not sponsored, but listen, I love this. I love this site, and I will be using this site forever. It just shows you a good picture of how the rank ladders are doing in this week or this month's ladder or what have you. So if we go all the way through, and if we're looking at bronze 10, bronze 5, silver 10, silver 5, or what have you, look at this. We're seeing Treant Druid across the board. It's the most popular one besides Mining Rogue, but it's not popular in these low levels. A total popularity of 11% for Mining Rogue, but Treant Druid has got the next one, and especially right now. So you're going to be seeing a lot of Druids in this meta right now, okay, which is fine. But I'd like to tell you really quick, let's look at Treant Druid, and then let's look at what the matchups are. Okay, it's very good against everything except for Paladin. So if you're seeing a lot of Treant Druids, my suggestion to you is start playing Paladin to counter it. So what I would do is, have a couple of options if at all possible, decks-wise and archetypes-wise, to where if you start seeing, okay, the last 3 things I played were Druid, let me go ahead and let me start finding a Paladin deck that will work. Cool thing is, in the past couple of weeks, I've talked about Paladin decks, I've talked about Druid decks, I've talked about a lot of decks that you could be playing, but let's go through 5 right now that you can start playing that will get you through the ladder climb this week. Unholy Death Knight. This is 0 dust. We've talked about this before. I don't want to go get too deep into the nitty-gritty. I've talked about this. There's probably 400 videos about this. There's people playing this now. There's videos on demand right now on Twitch. So it's a 66.3% win rate. And the idea is corpses, 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 corpses. Get as many corpses as possible for you to Lord Marogar the heck out of your board, which is raise all of your corpses as 1/1 risen golems with rush. For each that can't fit, give 1 +2/+2. What I like to do with this one is try to put this together with Stitch Giant. So throw that Stitch Giant on the board, throw 2 of them if you can, and then use Lord Marogar, and then your board is nutty at the end of the day. And usually, most likely, you'll have no problems being able to smack them in the face for at least half of that or what have you, unless they have a crazy clear. But this deck, I've talked about it many, many times. It doesn't cost you anything. You should be learning how to play Death Knights, so try this one. Tell me what you think. Awesome. Next up, Control Warrior, and I don't think I've talked about this one. This is also 0 dust right now. This has been in here for about a week now, a little bit more than a week. It's at a 56% win rate right now, and it's just Control Warrior. And it's got Alexstrasza in it. Okay, I have talked about something like this. It might be a little bit different, but listen, Armadillo, it's a good card. It's a great card. I like using it. And then its synergy is at the end of your turn, give all taunt minions in your hand +2/+2. And look, Sword Eater's there. Ooh, that's a good card. Primordial Drake's in there. So there is things that you should be doing and making sure, look, Frightened Flunky, and then discover a taunt minion, and then that goes in your hand. Try to put some of these things together, and remember this. Try to put taunt minions in your hand before you're using Armadillo. And then look, Zilliax as well. Who would not want this to be buffed up? So just remember this. This one's going to be a little bit of a mishmash to try to grab your board, but there's a lot of options here. Look, you got Shield Slam, no problem. You have Slam, Bash, Blade Storm, you shield block. You have so many options that you can play in this, and the cool thing is you'll be able to, once you get a good grasp on this and start winning games and getting packs and getting gold or what have you, you'll be able to buy more cards that will help you make a much stronger warrior deck as you climb through the ladders. Okay, next up, Treant Druid. And listen, this is 1440 dust. There's a ton of options that you could be using for this archetype. There's 12 different decks. Okay, this is at a 75.4% win rate. This is the one I saw that I thought had the highest win rate. It's really good, and I understand now. I've talked smack about Blood Treant for months now. I was like, why would anybody want to play that? It's, cost health instead of mana. It's a 2/2. Why does anybody want to do that? The amount of nutty things that this can do, getting on board immediately. Yes, you're hurting yourself by taking health instead of mana for this. But if you have this, it's no cost. It doesn't cost anything but health to you. So it's very easy to push this out and then push out synergies in your deck that make cultivation just super, super cheap. And then all your minions have +2/+2, and then this will creep up on the opponent, and this will kick the opponent's butt. So listen, I like this here. If you look at the win rates, like I said, overall 75.4, but the individual win rates are crazy. Like, I mean, this is so good. It's got an 82% win rate against Demon Hunter. Okay, no problem, sign me up. It's got an 83.3% win rate against Shaman. So there's a lot of cool things that this deck could do. It is a little bit of a grind to figure out how to play this, me personally. It's a little chaotic. It's a little all over the place. But for being 1440 dust, this is something you should absolutely try. And I showed you, this is what's being played right now in the ladder, in where we're at in the ladder, and it should be considered for you to be playing. Next up, Undead Priest, and this is 2,880 dust. It's Undead Priest. Now this time, because we've talked about Undead Priest before, this one has ETC in it. It has Shard of the Naru that silences all enemy minions. It's got Silver Moon Arcanist that makes spells +2 damage, and then it's also the Sunwell, which is a very good card, and you should be using as tech options if you need them. And this is, listen, this is the Benedictus package, which is if spells in your deck are all shadow, enter shadow form, which means your hero power does damage instead of heals, and then you just have a bunch of synergies with these small minions. So you got Arms Dealer. After you summon an undead, give it +1 attack. You know what works well with that? Foul Leg. Banshee. Undying Allies is a good tech card that you can use for any of those. Look, Bone Flinger. Friendly undead died after your last turn, deal 2 damage. And before you know it, your opponent is hurting. Rotting Necromancer is a good one. Battlecry, Dredge. If it's an undead, deal 5 damage to the enemy hero. Guess what? All you have mostly is undeads, so you're fine. You're going to find an undead real quick. And then Shadow Word Undeath. Deal 2 damage to all enemies. If a friendly undead died after your last turn, deal 2 more. This deck is pretty easy to run. It's pretty powerful, especially in the lower ladders. When you're in the lower ladders, you're going to see some wackiness. You're not going to see a lot of net decking. You're going to see someone that has, like as an example, you're going to see a mage that just has Murlocs the first 5 turns. So if you're playing these right, especially in the beginning of the ladder climb for the week, you're going to see some opportunities there for you to be playing right and smart and winning more games because you're playing these good decks. Okay, last up, and I know I just talked about Druid with Treant Druid, but let's not forget that Dragon Druid is a thing. Yes, it's a little expensive, 4,280 dust. Considering what we talked about, this is super expensive, but it's still a good deck with a 76.2% win rate. And this deck is being played right now across the board. There was versions of this in the Masters Tour that just ended, the championships. So should be playing this deck, absolutely. At least try it out, test it out, see how it works for you. It is about all of the dragon synergies here, but I want to focus on this one. This one is your mulligan. You want to work for Snapdragon first, okay? Because give all Battlecry minions in your deck +1/+1. You want to get as many Snapdragons out as quickly as possible because all of these cards have Battlecries, except for that one. But anyway, you know what I'm talking about. And then they're just stronger, and then they're synergizing with each other. And then you have Splish Splash Whelp that if you're holding a dragon, gain an empty mana crystal. Busted. Like I said, Starlight Whelp. There's another one. Wait a minute. Take to the skies. Draw 2 dragons. Give them +1/+1. This one right here. Desert Nest Matron is nutty. If you're holding a dragon, refresh 4 mana crystals. So look, you just threw that out for free. Congratulations. You could do this twice in 1 turn if you had the mana. Oh wait, you will have the mana. There's some crazy stuff you can do with this. And then of course, Dragon Golem. Summon a copy to this for each dragon in your hand. If you get this buffed up and you do this with enough dragons in your hand, you're winning the game. So this one is a very good card. Malagos Spellweaver's in here. That's cool too. You have it in there. It's going to be very, very heavy, very, very strong. A lot of health for your opponent to have to start smacking into. So it's a fun deck. It's a very good win rate right now, 76.2%. Something you should consider. That's it for this week's budget decks. I also am putting out a video of which legendary cards you should be safe to craft. It should come out at the same time, maybe tomorrow, next day, or what have you. But keep an eye out for that. And again, Happy New Year. Hope you all had a safe New Year, and I cannot wait to see what happens in Hearthstone in 2024. See you in the next video.